Back, but we were discussing about the process models, and now it is the time to discuss the next model, that is called unified process model. The unified process model basically better model that is used for the development of a very qualitative, good and qualitative maintainable software with a specified time and budget. So this model was introduced by Jacobsons, Jeboch, and Haramba. These were the three persons who developed this model. So this model is a series of fixed length cycles or iterations in which the software is developed. This is also known as Rational Unified Process Model (RUP). So if any questions comes in the paper by the name of Unified Process Model or Rational Unified Process Model, so we have to write the same thing that we are discussing. This model basically consists of the four main phases: inception, elaboration, construction, and transition. So the inception phase, we clear all the specifications of the project. In the elaboration phase, we also we analyze as well as we plan about the project, how to develop the project. In construction, we design, code, and develop the project, and in transition phase we hand over the project to the user. So this process continuously used as you are viewing in this watching in this diagram, that inception, elaboration, construction, and transition, the version 1 will be developed, then the process, the second cycle will be started, then inception, elaboration, and cycle, so on. This evolutionary process will be continued until and unless we continue to find or reach or obtain the final product. So this is different versions. By different version we will develop the product, and the final version will be obtained by continuous cycle. It can also be elaborated by this diagram: inception, elaboration, construction, and these are the phases. And if you look at the model, that the environment where it will be implemented, that is clear in the inception phase, and the project management will through the phases, the project management will be continued, and the configuration management will be used at the start from the inception, but it will reach to its peak at the construction and transition phase. If you look at the deployment phase of the project, so the deployment is performed at where? At the transition phase, when we are going to hand over the project. When you are going to test the project, the testing is start from the elaboration, that when we analyze and plan the project, then we also test that either we are going in the right direction or not, and then in the construction and transition it goes to the reach, and in the reach it is completed. So implementation is basically the process that starts from the design, and that goes to peak in the construction and ends or completes in the transition phase. Where the model selection is process is concerned, it starts from the inception and it ends in the transition phase. So these are the four phases where the project is developed and by the RUP, Rational Unified Process Models. So if we look at in details, in the inception phase the project is planned, then the initial risk is assessed, then initial business cases are discussed, then initial project glossary, then initial use of the case model, then vision document, then business model, and then prototype is selected, and we start the project from here. So inception, elaboration, and and then you can say outcome of the project. We can say that in the outcome of the project, and that is the case of the elaboration phase, we got a revised risk document, how risk is minimized and reduced, and an executable architectural prototype, and so on, and then our development plan in the final, and then we go to the construction phase. So if you look at the construction phase, the operational manuals are keep in mind, then we develop the project as a test suite, and then the description of the current release, user manuals, software product, documentation of the manual, and then test outline, and then hand over the task. So in the transition phase, if you look at the diagram, in the transition phase these are three main stages. One is the product release, then beta test report. Beta test is the test that is conducted on the user side, and then the user feedback, how the user find this project. So these are the three phases, these are the three you can say stages that is completed at the transition phase. So selection of the of a life cycle depends upon what? Selection of a life cycle depends upon the requirements, development team, a user, project type, and associated risk, as we discussed in the start of this lecture. So this was what? This was basically about the RUP, Rational Unified Process Model. Okay, beta. So the next model is VV model. We are going to discuss in the next lecture. Thank you, beta. Thank you very much.